Good evening, everybody. I am DadBod. Tonight we have our 1 month follow-up video for the DDR pads bought back at the end of June from this company up here, maty-taneczne, better known as Polish pads. I think you know what I'm talking about. So what I have done, if you haven't seen my first video of the unboxing and original playthrough, that link is in the description below. But there were a whole bunch of questions that I got from people on Reddit and just in comments in general, so I thought I'd compile them all here and answer them in this video. If we have a ton more questions, I can answer those as well in the comment section or in a follow-up video. So let's get started. All right, so over the last few days, I have gone through all the comments from Reddit and the YouTube video to compile a list of every single question that everybody had that I answered, but I'm going to put it all in one place just with a definitive answer. I figure that would probably help out a little bit more than just combing through every comment section ever. All right, so the first question on my list is pertaining to my setup. So right now I'm running off of an Asus Republic of Gamers laptop. It runs a Core i7 processor. It's a couple years old though. It's probably like 4 years old. NVIDIA GTX 965M if I'm reading it correctly. I have it hooked into my television with USB-C to HDMI adapter, and I'm running a Samsung 4K TV, which runs 120 hertz. It's the K8000, KS8000. The one thing to keep in mind is when you do hook it up to your TV, make sure if you have a game mode that you put it on there, or else you're going to notice a significant amount of lag in between where the music hits and where your notes come in. So do keep that in mind. The other thing that I had to do was do like my the sync offset was a little bit different, but that was a really quick fix. All right, the second question was, where's the handlebar? And if you look at the pictures, it doesn't come with a handlebar. I actually never really used the handlebar much, even when I played in the arcades. I mean, obviously, that does kind of limit you. You know, when you're doing something really, really, really crazy, you're just not going to be able to do it on these pads unless you have really amazing balance and your legs are fast. But I am DadBod. It doesn't work out that way. I can still play some pretty fast songs, but yeah, when it comes to needing a handlebar, you're going to have to make one of those, which there's plenty of tutorials online on how to do that. All right, so the next question is, how much did you pay for these? And the answer is fairly simple. It is $657, and that included shipping from Poland over to where I am in Ohio. Shipping was a big expense. These are heavy. Like they've got some big weight to them. So shipping was obviously one of the bigger things. I think it was almost like $100 per pad shipping. But that's what it is. So the next question is, how are they with sliding? And I can tell you right now, I play on a low end like carpet. It's almost like a big area rug I'm looking at right now. And I don't have too much issue with these. It came with, as you can see the picture here on the screen, 9 different little like sticky pads on the bottom that really help with sliding. If I'm playing something really, really crazy, I might move maybe an inch. And if I'm playing doubles on something harder, it moves a little bit, but nothing that I can't readjust a half an inch every single or every other game. Just depends on how I'm moving. But it also could just be me because I recently started doubles and I'm kind of a lummox when it comes to that stuff. All right, so how is this playing in socks, shoes, or bare feet totally? I have done all three, obviously, for science. I primarily play in socks, and there are certain socks that I play on that I slip around a bit. But there are a couple, like any of my black socks, I feel like I slip around a ton. Any of the white socks that I have tend to hold up really well. I can do anything from, like 10s to 13s in socks without having any issue. I don't particularly care for playing in bare feet. My wife plays bare feet all the time, and she does pretty well. Shoes are another thing for me. I like having as little weight on my legs as possible when I'm trying to do this because I'm still building the endurance, but shoes are great as well. It feels fine. I guess the one thing that maybe kind of a detractor if you're wearing shoes is everything is pretty flush on the pad. It's not like when you have an arcade pad, you can definitely feel the dips where all of the buttons are, and that's one thing that you may have trouble with in the beginning is locating where you're supposed to be stepping. And I think that's why I've been a lot more accurate with bare feet is like, or in socks, I mean to say, is like you definitely know the difference in texture from the panels to the just the hard plastic pieces on the side. What is the hardest difficulty that I do? If we're going on the new scale, I think anywhere between like 11 and 14, I can typically double A. If it's something a little bit higher than that and the speed is not crazy, I can still do it. I'm working on getting that stamina up though. If it's a slower song, I can typically do the higher level ones. But once it gets like too fast, if I don't have a bar, it's pretty much a done deal. I'm not going to pass that song, especially because, like I said, I'm still working on the stamina. But once I get there, I'll get it. All right, the next question is shipping. How long did it take to get there from order to home? So when I placed the order, it took about a week. I made my payment with PayPal, and it took a week for them to process, and I would assume not only process but build because I had custom center pieces put into the pad, polycarbonate panels, and start and select buttons in my set, and that's 2 of them. So it took them a week to put all that together, and then when they shipped it out, it took almost a week, which was actually pretty impressive going from Poland to Ohio, and so I was really impressed with how quickly they got that thing shipped out. So shipping was great. That's all I got to say about it. So what is it made out of? So we've looked before. The panels are made out of polycarbonate. It looks like the top is made out of just like a really hard, durable plastic. The edges are all metal, and the interior, I believe, is all really hard wood. This thing is super, super heavy, and I think that's what helps also with it not sliding around too much is just the weight of it, plus the rubber stoppers on the bottom. This just like when you pick it up and you feel it, like it feels like a high quality pad. It's not very thick though. It's only about 1 inch thick. So it's not really big and bulky like some of the old like DDR game pads and things of that nature. All right, the next question is about the screws on the pad, and I've had actually a couple people ask me about it. There are obviously for each panel, and there's 9 panels on the pad itself, there are 4 screws holding it in, and they are raised up just a little bit. So it really depends on the type of player that you are and how you're playing. I have accidentally like stepped on the screws hard, and it hurts a little bit. It's not terrible. I mainly play in socks. My wife plays in bare feet, and we really don't have too many issues with it. I can see you might having some issues if you drag your feet a ton. Like if you're just going for super like high score, fast stuff, and you just kind of play the corners, then I could see how that may be an issue. But so far, even when I get really tired and I drag my feet, or if I'm feeling lazy, I don't have any issues with this whatsoever. All right, the next question I think is from someone who already owns a set of these pads. He asked if I noticed a dip in the sensors, like when you step in, do you kind of feel like you sink in a little bit? And the answer is yes, a little bit. And it feels kind of weird at first, but you get used to it. And I just think it's because of how the sensor is. If it was on a flat, hard surface, I think that the sensors would be more prone to sticking. And, with the way that this works, it's actually the most accurate pad I've ever used. I have registered more AAA scores in the last month than I have in my entire life, and I think I've only actually registered 1 AAA score in my however many years I've been playing this game for. And in the last month, I think I've gotten 6 or 7. So as far as accuracy, like it's been really, really reliable so far. All right, the next is how are the sensors? And as I said earlier, the sensors in this thing are super nice, like very, very precise, and they cover pretty much the whole sensor itself. Like there's a couple areas, obviously, like where the screws are that you may not have sensitivity, but pretty much everywhere else, it's perfect. I haven't noticed any misinputs, and I'm typically pretty accurate with that. But even like I said, when I'm getting like tired and I'm kind of like moving as little as possible, just dragging my feet across, it's perfect. All right, now a couple other things to keep in mind. The pads themselves just come with the arrow buttons. Now, there are some additional add-ons that you can get. One that I definitely recommend is the start and select button that's placed on the top right corner. If you do not have that, you are pretty much stuck with your keyboard. Now, we do have the keyboard. I have a wireless keyboard that I just have hooked into my computer that we just kind of keep by our pads that we can use for song selection, which is a great option too if you don't want to spend the extra money. And I mean, you can get wireless keyboards for very little money, under 20 bucks. And just something nice and little that you can plug in, change your song select. So if you don't want to add the start and select button, you don't have to, but it's definitely nice to have those on there just for setting everything up. It's great. The other piece that I opted to get was the polycarbonate panels, mainly because I'm kind of a big boy. I'm about 250 pounds. I've got a couple friends who are a little bit bigger as well, and we are going to be jumping all over these things. The polycarbonate panels just have a much higher weight limit, and they're way less prone to cracking. I have heard some people who had the cheaper panels say that they cracked on them a little bit, not like where it ruined the pad, but you could just start to see cracks and things of that nature in there. So I opted for the polycarbonate panels, and so far, I mean, I jump all over them. They are holding up beautifully. They're shiny. They're beautiful like the day I bought them, and I'm jumping all over them, and we have been for the last, like, pretty much every day for the last month and a half. So connectivity. As we showed in the first video, this is a simple USB-A to USB-B cable. The USB-B obviously plugs into the dance pad. It's a very easy cable to get. It's a very inexpensive cable to get. If you have an old printer, you probably have one of these cables laying around, but they do supply it, obviously. So it is USB only. It doesn't hook into any other consoles. I'm sure at some point you could probably get something that could convert it, and you could map it to a console. I know someone was trying to play Cadence of Hyrule with it, which I think would be really awesome. But so far, it's mainly, its intended purpose is USB for PC. All right, as far as dimensions go for this dance pad, as we said, it's about 1 inch thick. This does seem a little bit small, but it's not really. It's just that the sensors go all the way to the edge, so it appears to be a little bit smaller, but the sensors are actually the same size as normal. It measures 33.5 inches wide and 33 inches tall. Once again, it only takes about 5 minutes to adjust yourself to it. Haven't had any issues where I fell off or something because I was reaching. And it actually, for playing doubles, makes it feel a lot better. I think, in my opinion, it's a lot better for doubles. All right, guys, that is all we have for tonight. I want to thank you so much for hanging out with me. Thank you for all the great comments. Thanks for all the questions that made this video possible. I hope it helped kind of sway your decision one way or the other. For me, this was really a shot in the dark. There wasn't a ton of content currently available for these pads. There were a couple people on Reddit who were like, these are sweet, but there was no videos with extensive playthroughs really talking about these pads, and it's hard to say, well, I'm going to spend $700 for 2 pads and get them shipped from Poland. So yeah, kind of a shot in the dark, but I can honestly say these are the best pads that I have ever owned. And I've been playing this game since 2003. I know, old man here, but it is what it is. We love them. We use them all the time. As I said before, if you have any other questions, comments, hit me up in the comments section below. As always, if you enjoy the content, hit that subscribe button. And every so often, you will see me on the Twitch channel right up there, twitch.tv/iamdadbod, doing some playthroughs, some DDR, and we have, obviously, these pads on display so you can see them, ask me some questions. Until next time, guys, have a good night.